Annyeonghaseyo everyone. Today I'll be showing you guys one of the, I think, top 2 or 3 questions being asked in my Naab Vaam video, and that was, what are those purple jelly looking like things, or those purple worm like jelly things that you put in your Naab Vaam. So today I'll be showing you guys how to make, and what we call it in our family, tapioca gangla. And gangla is basically a type of worm that my parents back when they were living in Thailand and Laos, they would eat. And the most common name for them are like the coconut worms, Sago worms. But today I'll be showing you guys how to make tapioca Sago worms, or tapioca gangla, which are basically just tapioca little gems that are shaped like a sago worm or a coconut worm. And they do remind me a lot of gnocchis. So basically these are just gluten-free gnocchis because they are made out of tapioca starch or flour. So a lot of you guys can just refer these to as gluten-free gnocchis, but we are going to eat this in a dessert, not as a savory dish. They also look like cavatelli noodles, if you guys ever seen those. Same shape, same way of making it, just different type of flour. These are really not the most appetizing things to eat just because of the way it looks and the texture. It reminds people a lot of like larvas, maggots, you know, things that are not really appealing to the common masses here, but they are really fun to make, especially with your kids, because you can make them different colors. You can have your kids roll it out for you, with you, and they're just really fun to make, and they're actually really fun to eat. They're just like tapioca pearls made straight out of tapioca flour. So yeah, I'll show you guys how to do different colors today. Today I'll be showing you guys how to make like a pink fuchsia color, purple color, green color, yellow color, and an orange color. So I'll show you guys how to do those today. You guys don't have to do all those colors. I just wanted to do all those colors just because they're really fun to make, and it's just nice to have different colors in Naab Vaam, because Naab Vaam is all about like having fun. It's a fun dessert. It's a fun like texturally type dessert. So yeah, just another topping to show you guys how to make today for Naab Vaam. So hopefully you guys enjoy it and have fun with it. So let's go ahead and make some tapioca gangla. So let's go. Okay, so here I have different types of potatoes and mung beans and pandan to make all the different colors. You guys can make just one color, but today we're just gonna make different colors just because we want it to be colorful. So you guys can use whatever you guys feel like using for colorize, but just be mindful that each of these have different level of starches, so we're gonna have to adjust the amount of moisture we're gonna add into the little swirls. So yeah, we'll go ahead and peel these off, and then we're gonna steam some of these so that we can actually use them. And then I also am going to use some tapioca starch here. So tapioca starch is what we're gonna be using to bind all of this together. Okay, so I have my steamer here. I'm just going to go ahead and add these in there separately. Alright, cover this up, and then we'll let this cook until the potatoes are nice and soft. So this is done steaming. It's nice and soft. So we're gonna put these in a potato smasher, and then we're gonna add in some tapioca starch and finish these off. The tara, I'm not gonna use the tara. I'm just gonna use it as it is in the Naab Vaam. So we're gonna scoot that side and just use these to use for the color. Okay, so the purple one. We have a bowl here with tapioca starch. I have about half a cup of tapioca starch, and then with the steamed potato here, took about half a cup, measured here, and then we're gonna pour this into a potato masher and just mash it over the starch, and then we'll mix it in. So we're gonna add that into the masher, close that up, and then we're just gonna smash it in there. All right, so now we can go ahead. I have some gloves on here. I'm just going to mix these tapioca starch in here. The only issue with the purple sweet potato is it's a little dry, so it's really starchy. So as you can see, it's really dry now. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna add some water in here to actually make it into a pliable dough. So we're going to do that. Some hot boiling water. So you don't want to use cold water. You want to use hot boiling water because tapioca starch is more active and stretchier with hot boiling water. So, see, it's a little dry here. We are going to go ahead and add some hot water to it. I'm going to add in about a tablespoon of hot boiling water at a time. I don't want to add too much or else I'm going to make it a little too wet. And I'm going to add another tablespoon of water. So just enough for you to actually make a pliable dough. Okay, it's still a little dry, and another tablespoon. Oh yeah, it's better now. So this, I don't really have an exact measurements because all potatoes, sweet potatoes, they have different level of sweetness and starchiness, so it affects the amount of moisture there is in here. So if you guys make this, just start with a little bit of water at a time so you can control the consistency of the dough. Alright, so I put this in the microwave for a good 30 seconds, just enough to heat it up. The problem with using tapioca starch is that if whatever liquid that you're adding in there, if it's not hot, it's really hard to work with, especially if you're making this kind of dessert. I had to put it in the microwave just so it's easier to actually roll out into a ball. But other than that, it's pretty good to work with. Nice dough, and yeah, so now we can go ahead and make these into a little balls. So all you need to do is take a little piece of this, roll out into little balls like this, and we can start rolling into spirals after you're done rolling into little balls like this. So just keep doing that until all the dough is used up. So these are done rolling into little balls. So before we actually roll it into spirals, we want to coat it just a little bit with more tapioca starch, just so that it doesn't stick. Just like that. Okay, so these are nice and rolled out. We put a little bit of tapioca starch in here, and we're going to take each little ball here and we're going to form it into little spirals. So this thing here, this is a tool that my mom bought at the mall market, and this is used to make the little spirals. But if you guys want to look online, you can look for like a gnocchi mold. You guys can use a clean, super clean like comb. You can also use a fork, but we're going to use this today. We found this at the mall market, and yeah, we're going to show you how to roll these out. So you're going to take one ball, and we're going to press it down and just roll it out, just like making gnocchis or like cavatelli noodles. Have you ever seen cavatelli pasta? That's basically how it's made. But we're just going to press it with your thumb and roll it out into little caterpillars. They don't look appealing, but they're really fun to make. And this is about it. Just continue using all the little balls and form it into little worms or caterpillars, and then we'll put it aside so that we can start boiling them. So you'll do the rest to all the colors, and that's about it. Alright, so if you guys don't have purple sweet potatoes or ube, I'll show you another alternative you guys can do. So in a pot, we're going to do it differently. In a pot here, I'm going to add in some ube extract that I found here. These are ube flavor. I'm going to add this into the pot. So I'm going to add about a teaspoon, a half a teaspoon to a teaspoon, depending on how purple you want it to be. And then I'm going to add in a 1/4 cup of water. Woohoo! It is purple. And then all we're going to do is bring this to a boil. Alright, so we're going to immediately pour the hot colored water in here. And I have some gloves here. I'm going to help me mix this. If you guys want, feel free to use a wooden spoon. But I can pretty much handle this. Okay. So the reason why you want to do this while the water is still hot is because starch becomes sticky when it attracts to hot water. So make sure you have hot boiling water. If you use cold water, it's just gonna become a sloppy like goop. It's not gonna form or be stretchy or have some kind of bounce to it. So make sure you pour in the hot boiling liquid in as soon as you can. Don't let it sit. Alright, so we're just gonna mix this until it is nice and all the dry ingredients are nice and coated with the wet ingredients. And then we can go ahead and form it into little balls. Just the same way as you guys can do it with the fresh sweet purple potato. Okay. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing with the yam. So we're just going to smash it into the tapioca starch, mix it in really well, and then add some hot boiling water if necessary. Go ahead and microwave it too after you mix in the hot water, just so it's more pliable. And then you can roll it into little balls, and then yeah, finish it off on the little mold and make it into little worms. Alright, so now we are going to switch over and do the green, the magenta fuchsia color, and also the yellow color. So these are a little bit different. I'll show you guys how to do these if you guys are interested in doing these colors. So in a pot here, we're just doing the same way as the ube flavoring. So doing it in water form. So in a pot, we're going to add in about half a teaspoon of the pandan extract here. So add in the pandan flavoring here, about half a teaspoon or so, depending on how green you guys like it. Okay. And then I'm going to add in 1/4 of a cup of water. Go ahead and heat this up and let it come to a boil. And then we're going to add this immediately to the flour, just like the purple one. Alright, so it's starting to boil. I'm going to turn off the heat and pour this over the tapioca starch. Alright, same thing as the ube flavoring. Go ahead and pour it immediately into the tapioca starch. I have about half a cup and a tablespoon of tapioca starch in there. Okay, and with gloves on again, I'm going to go ahead and just mix this the best I can until it forms into a nice pliable dough. And if you notice that it's a little too wet, go ahead and just add a little bit more tapioca starch, but don't add too much, just enough for you to bind everything together. I have to add a little bit more tapioca starch in there so it doesn't stick. And then yeah, we're gonna let this sit for about 2-3 minutes just so that it can cool and absorb the rest of the liquid, and then we can form it into balls and roll it into little swirls again. We'll do that same thing. Same with the green one, we're just gonna roll it into little worms. Okay, so for the mung bean one, here I have about 1/4 of a cup of mung bean that I've soaked in about half a cup of water, and it's been soaking for about 30 minutes or so. And so what we're going to do is we're going to cook this. So in a pan here, we're going to add that into the pan, and then I'm going to add in another half a cup of water, and we're just going to cook this for a good like 3 minutes or so, just so you can get more of that mung bean flavor. Add about another half a cup of water. Turn on the heat and let this come to a boil and cook for about 3 to 5 minutes, depending on how strong you guys want to taste the mung bean. But overall, the mung bean has food color, the yellow food color already added to it. So if you want, you can just keep it as yellow as it is, or you can also add more yellow food coloring, but I'm just gonna keep it as it is. So yeah, we're just gonna cook this for a good 3 to 5 minutes, and then we'll blend it up a little bit and then just use the liquid. Okay, so this has been simmering for a good 3 minutes. I'm gonna turn off the heat. And then I have my immersion blender here. I'm just gonna quickly pulse it really quick. If you guys don't have one of these, just go ahead and put it in your blender. Just be careful because it is hot. You wanna keep your cap off a little bit. So I'm just gonna immerse this really quick. Okay. Just enough to break apart a little bit of the mung bean. And then what I'm gonna do now is just strain this and use the liquid. All right, same thing, bowl here, and I heated up the about 1/4 of a cup of the mung bean liquid, and I'm just going to go ahead and pour this in there. I added a teensy bit of food coloring just in there, just because the mung bean wasn't yellow enough for me. So just add a little bit in there just to make it a little bit more yellow, but it still has that really good mung bean flavor. Go ahead and measure out about 1/4 of a cup in there and pour it in here. Same thing, just go ahead and mix it up. And then after that's done, form it into little balls, and then same thing, just roll it into little worms or caterpillars. Easy as that. Okay, so for the beet or fuchsia magenta color, I have about 1 beet that I grated into a bowl, and to this we're going to add in about a cup of water in here, and all we're going to do is use the liquid in here. Let this sit for a good 5 minutes, and then we'll squeeze it out and put it into a strainer and just use the juice. Okay, so I have a strainer here in a measuring cup. We're just going to pour in the beet liquid here. And then I'm going to use my hands to squeeze out any of this excess beet color. Okay, so this is good. Now we're going to use this juice for coloring. Let's go ahead and do that. Alright, same thing. I have a bowl here with tapioca starch and my liquid here that has boiled. So add in the boiled hot beet liquid in there. Then we'll go ahead and mix this up. Same thing as the green ones. And once this is nice and hydrated, let it sit for 2 minutes, and then go ahead and form it into the balls. And same thing, coat it with a little bit more tapioca starch, and then you can start rolling it out into little worms or caterpillars or whatever you guys like to call it. So yeah, nice and pink like this, and we can go ahead and let this sit for 2 minutes, and then we can finish it off. Rolling into balls, and the same thing as the green one. Pretty much it. Okay, so just for fun, my mom decided to mix and match 2 colors together and roll it out like this. If you guys want, feel free to do that too. You can play around with all the colors and make it as pretty as you guys like. So we mixed in the magenta and the yellow, and then the purple and the orange together, and it actually looks really cool. So if you guys are curious how we made this, we just combined the 2 colors together and roll it out like that. Super fun. Okay, so all of these are rolled out, and I separate them. I'm gonna cook them separately just because if you do it all together, it becomes kind of like a brown color. The water becomes brown, so I like doing it separately for people's preference and also for the looks. So this one is the beet color one. Nice, pretty magenta color. I love this color. This is the green pandan color one. This is the sweet potato, the purple sweet potato, or the ube flavor color one. This one is the yam, the orange yam flavor. This is the mung bean flavor one. So yeah, we're gonna take all of these and boil them separately and then cool them in cold water, and we can serve it up with some coconut syrup. So I'll show you guys how to do that. All right, so now we can start boiling them. All right, I'm gonna add this in there. My mom mixed some of the yams in there, so some of them are like a mix match color. So don't mind that. You guys can mix match all the colors if you guys want, but yeah, basically you just want to cook this until it's fully cooked, and then that's pretty much it for that. It's pretty easy. Now you guys know what the purple little swirl things are in my Naab Vaam video. Here it is. You guys finally get to see how it's made. Alright, I'm just going to give this another 1 or 2 minutes, and then we can transfer this. Basically, it's pretty much cooked. So I'm going to leave that for another 1 minute or so, and then we'll come back. Okay, so this is pretty much cooked. As you can see, it got really lighter in color. Here, I'll get closer up. Lighter in color, and it's pretty much cooked. So here, I have some cold water in this little bowl here, and all we're going to do is transfer this into some cold water so that it doesn't stick or overcook. And yeah, this is about it. We're gonna let that cool and then rinse it with some more cold water. If you guys want, you guys can put it in ice water as well. So we can go ahead and finish cooking the rest of the colors, and then we'll be ready to eat it. So we'll set this aside. Alright, so these are all done cooking. I'm soaking them in water so that they don't stick to each other. So make sure you keep them in water. These are only good the day that's made. If you leave it overnight and you refrigerate it in water, it's gonna get a little hard. So it's just like making fresh boba pearls, so you won't like them fresh. So I'll show you guys how they look like. This one is the green one. See how sticky they are? You want to keep them in water so that they can actually separate. But the green one looks like this. This is the yam color, the yam flavor one. Looks so cool. This is the pandan flavor, so bright and green. This one is the ube, the purple ube color. It's nice and bright purple. So pretty, look at that. It's so dark and purple, it's kind of hard to see, but this is what they look like. This one's the yellow mung bean flavor one. This one is the beet color. So we can go ahead and put this in a coconut syrup dessert, or however you guys like to eat it. So we'll do that now. Alright, so we are going to serve this up. I'm going to show you guys how we like to eat it. So in a bowl, I'm going to add in the little worms that we made. Add that in there. And then some orange yellow tapioca that I colored. I just cooked some up and then colored it. And then I made some sindal. I'm going to add in some sindal. I have a recipe for this. If you guys are interested, I'll put the link down below. So here's the mung bean that I cooked up even more until it's nice and soft. I'm gonna add that in there for texture. Coconut, chopped coconut, fresh coconut in here. And then for that, I'm going to add in some coconut syrup that I made. And then I'm going to add in some ice just to make it cooled. And now I'm just going to stir this up. Ooh, it's pretty full. So yeah, this is pretty much it. You guys were curious what those little purple swirly squiggly things were. This is basically all it is.